Tonight, Kamala Harris isn't the only one who will make history if Joe Biden wins in November. Her husband, Doug, joining her on stage tonight. You see him there, Doug Emhoff, getting a shout out from Biden on the unprecedented role that he, of course, would take on as America's first second man.
Doug, you're going to have to learn what it means to be a barrier breaker yourself in this job you're about to take on. America's first second gentleman.
Kyung-la is out front.
Vice presidential candidate Kamala Harris officially takes her historic step forward on the presidential ticket. But it's the man who posed with her at the end, paving his unique path beside her. Husband Doug Emhoff tweeting this with Dr. Jill Biden ready to go.
Let me introduce the woman I love.
He was an ever-present +1 on the campaign trail as his wife ran for president.
Go get him!
The quiet guide, cheerleader when needed, active on social media as Mr. Kamala Harris, and sometimes the unscripted husband. In a security scare last year at a campaign event, a protester got this close to Harris. The female moderator got in between. Then one of the three men to charge and drag him away was Emhoff. The look on his face, unfiltered, unmistakable. And when her presidential hopes ended, he was her source of comfort.
We were a good couple going in, and I think we came out of it like,
A modern husband now wading through barely charted territory.
This is only the third woman vice presidential nominee, and so he will be navigating terrain that we haven't really seen in any recent history.
I don't know if we're ready for a first lady named Doug. I don't know. Doug, huh?
Oh, he is the most fully actualized person you've ever met.
The couple met later in life, set up on a blind date by friends. Emhoff, an entertainment lawyer and millionaire, elevated her public servant salary into the 1%. And he brings two grown children, both in their 20s, to their blended marriage.
I've had a lot of titles over my career, and certainly vice president will be great. But Kamala will always be the one that means the most.
They are reflective of America. Their story is common to a lot of Americans. And I think that is something they can draw upon on the campaign trail to say, look, we're real humans just like you. And voters tend to like that.
What's notable to gender politics watchers is how Emhoff is changing the norms for American men.
Cueing to other voters, and particularly other men, the need to sometimes step back and lift up women's voices in this process. And that sort of symbolic nod that Doug Emhoff seems to be giving is going to be important too, to perhaps influence future generations of men.
Now, Dittmar says women candidates have historically not brought their husbands on the trail or emphasized them too much because of the perception that their accomplishments would overshadow the woman candidate. That's something we should say that men generally don't worry about in politics. But that's not an apparent fear of Kamala Harris and Doug Emhoff. And that, says Dittmar, is progress. But, Aaron, we should point out, today is day one for the Harris train on the VP ticket.